Today I'm sharing the ultimate fall lawn care routine with you because this is the most important time of the year and no one told you why. If you follow these 5 simple steps, your lawn will be ready to rock and roll through fall, winter, and even into next summer. We're going to go from clearing your lawn surface all the way to the watering rule that ties this whole method together, and it's important to get step number 3 right so that everything you do in the other 4 actually pays off. Now, the folks I'm really talking to in this video are cool season lawn people and anyone living in one of the transitional zones, and it is definitely not too late to run this routine, as long as your soil temperatures are still at 40 degrees or above and they look to stay that way for the next 2 to 3 weeks. If that sounds like your yard, you are sitting right in the sweet spot for this whole thing. Right now, your grass is in overdrive, putting down deep roots for winter, so everything you do this week lands on a lawn that is primed to put on serious growth. This is exactly why the pros do their heavy lawn work in the fall and coast through spring looking like geniuses, while everyone else is out fighting cold soil and weeds in April. So step number 1 is to clear your surface, and this has to happen before you do anything else. If your trees have started dropping leaves and there is a layer of them sitting on top of your grass, or if your last mow left a bunch of clippings and thatch across the lawn, everything you are about to do in the next 4 steps is going to fail because none of it can reach the actual soil. Your aeration will punch through leaves instead of dirt. Your pre-emergent and your seed will land on top of debris and stay there. Your fertilizer will feed the leaf pile more than it feeds the crown of your grass. You fix that with your mower and a bag. 99% of the year I am telling you to mulch your clippings because they are free fertilizer going straight back into the lawn, so I know this feels wrong. This week is the 1 week of the year you break that rule and bag everything, because a pass with the bag on shreds up the leaves and the clippings and vacuums the whole surface clean in one shot, and it gives you real dirt to work with for the next 4 steps. You mulch the other 51 weeks of the year. You bag this weekend. Number 2 is aeration. And this pairs perfectly with the first job because you have just cleared the surface and you can finally see what you are working with. Think about what your soil went through this summer with every footstep, every mower pass, and the sun baking down on it for months on end. By late summer, your soil is compacted and squeezed tight, and compacted soil is a serious killer of lawn health because water, air, and nutrients cannot get down to the roots where they are actually needed. Your grass is basically suffocating no matter how much you feed it or water it. Aeration fixes that by pulling thousands of small plugs of soil out of your lawn, which opens the ground up and lets everything breathe again. Water soaks in instead of running off, oxygen and nutrients reach the roots, and the roots finally have the room they need to spread out and grow deeper into the ground. You have a few tools available for this job. There are spike aerators, there are those aerator sandals people strap to their shoes, and there are core aerators that pull actual plugs of dirt out of the ground. I want you to use a core aerator because those plugs are the whole point of the exercise, and you can rent one from your local big box hardware store for around $100 for the day. You run it exactly the way you run your mower, with one full pass in one direction and then a second pass at a 90-degree angle to the first one, so no strip of lawn gets missed and you get true even coverage. It takes about an hour or 2 to do a normal yard, and by the time you are finished, your lawn is covered in little plugs of soil sitting on the surface. Leave those plugs alone. They break down on their own in a couple of weeks and go right back into the soil as free nutrition for your grass. The reason the sequence matters so much on this step is because those aeration holes are doing more than just letting air into the soil. 2 steps from now, they are going to become the perfect landing pockets for your grass seed, which is a huge part of the secret to seeds actually sprouting and taking hold. Aerating first and then seeding into those exact same holes on the same weekend is what separates a lawn that fills in thick from a lawn that stays thin and patchy for another year. You are getting double the value out of the aeration when you run this sequence in the right order. And this is exactly what I mean when I say most of lawn care comes down to knowing the right move at the right time, not spending more money on fancy products. That is exactly why I put together my book, Fix Your Lawn in 30 Days. Because most folks I talk to are honestly worn out from spending money on fertilizer that never seems to work, and worn out from watching the same weeds come back every single spring. If that sounds like you, this book is the plan you have been missing, because it tells you exactly what to do, what to buy, and when to put it down. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to grab your copy over at fixyourlawnin30days.com and finally transform your lawn. Number 3 is the pre-emergent step, and this is the one where almost everybody gets it wrong. Setting this step up correctly is what turns a decent fall lawn effort into the kind of lawn your neighbors are going to be asking you about next spring. A pre-emergent is the product you put down to stop weed seeds from germinating in your soil. And this fall, you want one down to catch the winter weeds and any last crabgrass or clover that is still trying to spread through your lawn in October. The problem is that almost every pre-emergent on the market is designed to stop any seed from germinating, and your new grass seed is a seed too. That means if you put down a normal pre-emergent this week and then overseed on top of it, you have just paid to sterilize your own lawn, and nothing you planted is going to come up. Most people look at that problem and pick one side of it. They either skip the pre-emergent completely because they want a seed, and then they lose next spring to crabgrass and winter weeds that came up through the lawn while they were not paying attention. Or they put down the pre-emergent and skip the seeding, and their thin patches stay thin all the way through next year. Both sides of that choice cost you a full year of progress on your lawn, and the pros do not pick either side. They use a third option that most homeowners do not even know exists. The product the pros reach for on this step is called tenacity, and tenacity has one specific quality that changes the entire game. It acts as a post-emergent, so it kills the weeds already growing in your lawn, like the crabgrass and the clover that got out of control this summer. It also acts as a pre-emergent on a lot of the common winter weeds, giving you roughly 30 days of protection after you put it down. And on top of all that, it does not harm ungerminated grass seed, which means you can put down your tenacity, your seed, and your fertilizer on the same day, in the same afternoon, and every one of them does its job without fighting the other two. Read that again if you need to, because it is the whole reason the sequence works. 30 days of pre-emergent protection is exactly the window you need too, because it takes about 2 to 3 weeks for cool season seed like fescue or Kentucky bluegrass to fully germinate, and then you want a cut or two on it before you go in with your heavier pre-emergent for winter and early spring. The critical warning on this step is do not substitute. If you walk into the store and grab whatever generic pre-emergent is sitting on the shelf, and you are also planning to seed the same weekend, you have just wasted the whole project. Same category of product, wildly different result, all because of one specific difference in the chemistry. This is the step that separates people who actually know what they are doing from people who are guessing and hoping for the best. If any of this is landing for you and helping you make sense of your fall plan, do me a quick favor and tap that like button, because that is genuinely how this video reaches somebody else before their own window closes on them. That is all I am going to ask. Number 4 is where you actually seed your lawn. And this is the moment where all of the setup work you have done up to this point finally pays off. Your surface is clear, your soil is open and aerated, and your tenacity is down protecting the whole thing from weeds. You are ready to build next year's lawn on top of that foundation. For your seed, you have a few solid options depending on your region and the grass you already have. Turf-type tall fescue is a great all-around pick because it handles heat and cold and foot traffic pretty well. Fine fescue works if you have a lot of shade to deal with. Kentucky bluegrass gives you that deep green color and the thick lawn look that people love, and ryegrass germinates faster than the others, which comes in handy if you are running this a little later in the window. A lot of pros just use a blend of 2 or 3 of those together because a blend spreads your risk across different conditions and gives you a more resilient lawn overall. You put the seed down with either a broadcast spreader or a drop spreader, and you walk the same pattern you already walked with the aerator. One full pass in one direction, and then a second pass perpendicular to the first one at half the recommended rate each way. That is how you get true full coverage without leaving thin strips down the middle of your yard. The seed to soil contact payoff from step 2 is the whole reason this works so well. Every one of those thousands of aeration holes you punched into the lawn is going to catch and cradle seed at the perfect depth. And when you toss seed onto a lawn that was not aerated first, most of it dies right on top of the thatch without ever touching real dirt. Drop the same seed onto a cleared, aerated surface, and in about 2 to 3 weeks, your bare patches are going to be filling in with brand new grass. Number 5 is your fertilizer and your watering, and I am putting them together because they happen back to back on the same afternoon, and one of them is honestly the single most important thing in this entire 5-step sequence. Starting with the fertilizer, you want a starter fertilizer if you can find one, because starter is designed specifically for new seed, and it gives your young grass the phosphorus and the balanced nutrition it needs to establish strong roots in a hurry. If you cannot find starter, look for something well balanced like a 4-1-2 on the bag, and that will do the job just fine. Starter is especially important if you are running this a little late in the window, because you need that germination happening quickly before the cold locks the lawn down for the year. You spread the fertilizer the exact same way you have already spread everything else in this sequence. One pass in one direction at half the rate on the bag, then a second pass perpendicular to the first at the other half. So if the bag tells you to put down 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet, you are actually putting down 5 pounds each direction. Same total rate, twice the coverage, 0 streaks in your lawn. Watering is the part of this entire sequence that decides whether the last 5 hours of your weekend were worth doing at all. And I want you to give it the attention it deserves, because it is easily the most skipped part of a fall overseed. If your new seed dries out at any point in the next 2 to 3 weeks, that seed dies. It will not just slow down or get a little stressed, it will die completely. And once it dries out one time, it is gone. You can throw away everything you just paid for and everything you just did over one hot afternoon in September if you get this wrong. So I want you to sit with that fact for a second before you skip past it. The way you water new seed is light and frequent. You are running your sprinklers 4 to 5 times a day for about 10 to 15 minutes each time, and you are keeping that pattern up for the full 2 weeks it takes for germination to complete. Your goal is to keep the top inch of dirt consistently damp all day, every day, until you can see grass coming up and rooting in properly. Damp is what you are going for, and light frequent bursts of water are how you get there. The rule you have to commit to memory on this one is the difference between watering new seed and watering an established lawn, because they are opposites and mixing them up kills your project. An established lawn with deep roots wants deep, infrequent watering, meaning one big soak once or twice a week that trains those roots to reach down toward the moisture. Brand new seed has no roots yet, and it is sitting right at the surface of the soil, so it wants the opposite treatment entirely. Light watering done often is how you keep the top inch damp until the roots go down. Deep and rare watering is how you take care of a mature lawn. Get those two backwards. Water your fresh seed the way you would water your mature lawn, and you either wash the seed away completely or you dry it out between soaks and kill it. Light and often for new seed, deep and rare for established grass, and if you remember one thing from this whole video, make it that. One tool note that is going to save you a lot of hassle here. If you have a decent sized lawn, a hose splitter that runs 3 or 4 sprinklers off one spigot on a timer is going to be the difference between actually running this schedule and lying to yourself that you will remember to move a sprinkler around every 3 hours. You will not remember. Get the splitter, set the timer, and let the system water the lawn for you across the full 2 weeks. Let me pull it all together for you, because when you see these 5 steps in the right order, the whole plan clicks into place. You start by clearing your surface with a bagged mow, so the rest of your work can actually reach the soil underneath. Then you aerate to open the ground up and create the perfect little pockets for your seed to land in. Then you put down tenacity, which is the one product that lets you do your pre-emergent, your post-emergent, and your seeding on the same day without any of them fighting each other. Then you overseed into those aerated holes with a solid seed blend for your region. And then you finish with a starter fertilizer and, most importantly, a light frequent watering schedule for the next 2 to 3 weeks that keeps that top inch of soil consistently damp until germination is complete. 5 steps, 1 weekend, 1 specific window, and every step feeds directly into the one that comes after it. The big truth to take away from all of this is that the lawn you are going to brag about next May is not built in May. It is built right now, in this specific fall window, before your soil temperatures drop below where new grass can establish itself. The people whose lawns are the envy of the neighborhood every spring got there by running this exact sequence in this exact window, while everyone else on the block had already mentally checked out for the year and moved on to raking leaves and thinking about Thanksgiving. It comes down to timing and sequence, full stop. Same seed, same budget, same climate, wildly different lawns next May, all because one of you ran the sequence in the window and one of you did not. If you miss this window, most of these jobs, and especially the seeding, do not just wait politely for October to come around. They are gone until next spring, and by then the odds are stacked against your seed for all of the reasons we already talked about, because spring soil is cold and slow and full of competing weeds. You lose a full year of progress on your lawn, and every year you lose is a year your neighbors are getting further ahead of you. A weekend of real work right now buys you an entire year of a better lawn, which is honestly the best trade in all of lawn care, and it is sitting right in front of you for a few more weeks before the door closes for good. If you only remember one thing from this whole video, make it this: your lawn runs on a calendar, and the calendar does not wait for you. Most of lawn care comes down to doing the right job at the right time of year, and this fall window is the single highest leverage moment on the entire calendar, which is exactly why two neighbors with the same grass and the same budget can end up with completely different lawns next spring. One of them ran the sequence in the window and one of them did not. So let me know in the comments, which of these 5 steps did you already know about, and which one are you going to try out? And let me know how your lawn is doing. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.